cross-examining Emma. Nice. Okay. Alright, press. Oh, hold that. I almost said take that.
Take that.
Hold it. 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? I totally sound like that fake Angry Video Game Nerd voice.
Oh, yeah.
This game's a bunch of poopy ass dicks.
Yes, she was second in command under Chief Detective Gant. My sister. She was the best detective ever.
Yes, I remember. Chief Detective Gant and this guy used to be quite the pair.
I believe they shared the same office.
Ooh.
That's right. I always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it. I wanted to play it that day too.
The police department and the prosecutor's office had a ceremony that day.
Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished work.
That's why in Phoenix Wright you never promised to take anyone to dinner. Because remember that Maya and Mia were about to meet each other for dinner, but then she got murdered. So now terrible things happen when sisters go out to have dinner in Phoenix Wright land. Alright, man, Ryan. Hold it! A man?
No, a woman. Yes, Joe Dark.
It wasn't Joanna Dark?
I think the
Joanna.
version, the female version is Joanna.
Oh, Joanna, whatever. Close enough.
He was a serial killer.
He totally looks like a happy man.
Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest.
When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right?
Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator.
Elevator.
He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Sky and Gant's office.
There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened the door to have a look. That's when I saw him.
You mean from Powerpuff Girls?
Yes.
Ooh, Powerpuff Girls. That guy's creepy. Hold it! What was the prosecutor doing there? Yes, I'm doing it.
That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning. Detective Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall.
Gant was there too?
Of course. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony.
I assume that'd be why he ran into. Wait, maybe the first to run after Dark.
When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead.
And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in?
I don't clearly remember what happened then, but
Hold it. Can you tell us about that?
Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark, and just then the lights went out.
The lights?
It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on, and lightning struck nearby.
So the electricity went out? Wait a minute! If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right?
Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind.
Oh, I see!
I told the detective about what I saw then.
The detective?
Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case.
Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. Stop. No, hear me. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago?
Yes. That's what's so scary about this trial.
And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw.
Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture.
A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Riggett, have you heard enough? Stop. Let's go off the picture. This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning.
But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture.
Witness, would you mind if we added the statement to your testimony?
Yes, Your Honor.
Alright, so there's a new one for you.
I drew a picture of the scene once, but it seemed to have been lost.
Been lost.
The man.
Okay, okay, now it's an old one. Okay. Then about the pit. Okay, this is a new line of evidence, so it's gotta be some evidence. Hold it. He drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right? Actually, hold on. Here's the evidence list. What?
Oh, it's on the
there's
back.
the picture. A picture's drawn on the back of this evidence list in magic marker. Magic marker? I've got a very bad feeling about this. So I assume that's supposed to be the picture she's talking about.
Yeah.
Because Edgeworth mentioned the evidence list, that's why I got curious about that. We didn't actually check that. Oh, you do a picture, so you this, right?
Yes, I wanted to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now, whenever I close my eyes.
That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died. Yet I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken.
But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it.
This picture that Emma drew, that reminds me. I guess I have to check the evidence again.
Well, anyway, let's continue. This scene that imprinted into image in your mind. Can you please describe it to us?
The man.
So maybe we should show the picture here.
The
Yeah,
man.
Are you ready for objection? Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. This cute, innocent little girl. And yet you still insist on denying its existence! Shame on you.
Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy.
You're just a horrible guy.
All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture.
There you were.
That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold! This is an evidence list of the ElementXII incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. What? Papers have two sides? Turn it. Ah!
Yes. What is that?
Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew.
Whoa, that's beautiful. Indeed, two men appear to be wrestling here.
With a square knife.
Yeah, wrestling. I wrestle people by stabbing them. Stab, 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 stab.
What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list?
Me!
Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list.
Huh? These lists, they're different from each other.
What?
It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here, where they're torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you.
What? What?
Order! Order! Who'd have thought that who'd have thunk that the picture on had been drawn on the back of this list?
That was handed to Detective Goodman in the question room.
Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means you would need to tape it together. Your Honor! Are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging out of your head! If the evidence list is torn in half, then there might be more than drawn on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
Huh?
2 years he didn't think of ever turning the paper around. Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth.
It's possible. Let's see. Huh?
That Marilyn Manson? Marky Mark?
M.
How do you say that? Was that? Is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Whoa, he's like pissed. Whoa, look how pissed he is.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Okay, sorry.
There's something drawn on the back of my list. This is that thing.
The Blue Badger.
What?
That thing. That thing is just dancing in Devin's room.
Apparently, the head of criminal affairs used this for his blueprint.
I guess he was out of scrap paper. Yeah, Vince, let's have it updated. Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago?
Huh? Oh, yes, Your Honor.
What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she saw the picture. Emma's picture.
This is the picture I drew 2 years ago.
It's beautiful.
The flash of lightning was so bright I could see where were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. The picture shows exactly what I saw that instant.
To think a flash of lightning can bring such an image to your mind. Thanks to that thought, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contractions here.
You mean that Joe Dark actually had a square knife?
This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall.
Uh-huh.
The defense made up against cross-examination.
Actually, no, I think it's an enameled carbon rod.
Hold it! Did you draw this picture right after the incident?
I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything.
During that time, the detective team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lana Skye.
2 or 3 days later, the memory should still have been fresh in her mind. Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black? To match with the darkness in my soul. So at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue?
No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor.
You were knocked to the floor?
Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when I saw the. That's when the lightning flashed.
Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt.
What happened after the lightning flashed?
Okay, then I must have been. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place?
No, I'm sorry.
The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further?
What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here.
Anyway, this picture.
It shows exactly when I saw that instant. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw?
Of course, this is the exact scene.
It wasn't influenced by any. Wait. It wasn't influenced in any way by your talks with the detectives?
Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright?
Where's my burrito? Where's my burrito? No, of course not! I'd better watch out or he might find some way to cut my salary.
I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives. So I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me.
Mr. Wright! Is there something that's bothering you about this picture? Huh? Oh well. That's strange. She claims it's exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet, there's clearly a contradiction here. Uh-oh. There is? What's the contradiction?
The knife is square.
Hold on. Let me see what we got. I'm gonna press it again.
Neil Marshall is.
I don't want to accidentally present something. So
Neil Marshall isn't wearing a hat.
Okay, I don't think that's a contradiction. We don't have good news. What is Neil? Stabbed in the back. Oh, the picture shows it directly from the front.
Oh.
It says, stabbed in the back. I have a punctured heart and lung. The knife tip was found in the wound. I guess that's what we're trying to figure out. I guess. Okay. So I guess let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I guess we're gonna show the autopsy report. Okay. Present. Autopsy report. Time for an objection. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction.
What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday.
Mr. Wright! Perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report?
How do you do this?
Crap! I don't know. Is it the fact... Well, it says the knife tip was found. So, the fact that the knife doesn't have a tip in the picture might be the contradiction.
Oh, yeah.
Or it might be... I thought it was the fact that it said... Oh, yeah, wait. The waist position could be in the back.
Yeah. Maybe it's the fact that the knife doesn't have a tip.
Because he could be, on his shoulder and be like, and then reach around and stab them. So I'm thinking it's the knife tip. I don't know. Friggin'... Is it? Do you think it's a knife tip?
Well, this is assuming that he hasn't been stabbed yet.
Yeah, so I made the fact that the knife is flat. Because the very first thing you said when you saw the picture is the knife is square.
Yeah.
So I think that's like it. So
I think it's an enamel colored rod. I was gonna open it.
I'm gonna open it too. Take that. Let's go with that then. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife that the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see the tip is broken. In fact, you don't even have to look closely to see that.
But Mr. Wright, look at this to see the murder weapon. Its tip is broken too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
Wow, the judge recalled.
It was a conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer.
Yes, indeed. Popcorn. I can imagine it's a jug of popcorn.
Corn.
I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma.
Why did you sound like again just now?
Where could you possibly see a problem?
It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not have yet been broken! Ah! What's the meaning of this?
Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand.
Objection! Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right. But what does this mean? I've interrupted right.
The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. Well,
Objection!
That's what he said.
That's why I asked her so many times that she remembered correctly.
I'm just objecting to have a conversation.
I believe you were annoyed at the time. But she was sure she remembered correctly.
But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency.
Objection! Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already about a little something called falsified evidence?
You're treading on thin ice, right?
All I'm saying is that this broken knife might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility.
No. Ah!
Order! Order! Order? Are you saying that the investigation really was corrupted? That's a fancy word. Your Honor! Please allow me once again to go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony on that day.
There's always people there.
Yeah.
2 people in the front.
After receiving the King of Prosecutors award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with James Gann. During questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in the story, there is a lie.
I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife.
If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife.
What are the chances there being 2 broken knives? Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's? Could there have been one?
I'm sure there's another one.
There is another one. I'm thinking of an idea. If the witness adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error.
Mr. Wright.
In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. And I assume then that you have some information about this other broken knife. If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon's already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder. Crap. What's the real murder weapon?
The knife from. The knife from the King of Prosecutors.
Oh yeah, the old knife has oh yeah, the knife is broken. Broken sword, broken shield. So do you think that's the real murder weapon? They said they keep saying there's a mysterious secret of why the current one doesn't have a knife sword part to it. So maybe that's the reason why, because someone got stabbed with it. So you think that's what we should go with?
Yeah.
Take that!